he's gone. He's hit the transfer portal. This is an interesting one, and it's going to sound crass of me, Tom, but I don't care. He wasn't very good, and his play at the end of his freshman year gave us so much hope, and then we were left bereft of hope, as I like to say, because he was terrible last year. Really couldn't even hardly play him, and I don't think he was adapting well to being a safety. He's a backup safety, by the way, and it doesn't appear that he wants to play safety, which would maybe fuel the reason for why he's entered the portal. Again, that's not like being ruthlessly cold or uncaring to the kid as a person, but I'm just talking about, I put on a GM hat when I look at our roster, Florida State's roster, and I remove personalities and nice interactions, bad interactions, whatever they might be that either I've had personally or we've had in the media with a player. And I just think, how does this player aid Florida State's effort to win a national championship? And the answer in this case is very little, very little. Florida State will not miss Duke Cooper at all. So that's my assessment of it.
Yeah.
There are plenty of people who might disagree. I wish the young man well, but suffice to say, we certainly have to address it. And I think the only way to talk, expound maybe further on this is to say it's just disappointing that he was not able to transition and take the next step. That was certainly something that we thought possible at the end of his freshman year.
Yeah, the first thing I'd say is he would have been a long shot to be a big-time player for you in the secondary at this point. If he was, it could have been something very good very quickly. It just didn't take off in spring. Like the adjustment period, it wasn't plug and play. He's an answer. Here's the immediate solution. He did have a skill set that you really wanted to harness and use. But if his heart is not in a move to safety and he didn't take to it all that well compared to the competition in spring, then yeah, you could see easily this is probably the best path for both parties. The question I would have is, though, his position coach. Did his new position coach, new defensive backs coach for Florida State, Patrick Surtain, come in and say, not going to work? Was it a different voice in the room that helped usher this move along? Or was it just apparent by play and by things that had nothing to do with the change at that position coach deal on the defensive side of the ball? Because sometimes these things are new coach, new eyes, not going to work for me, not my type of player. And so therefore it speeds up the process. But it could just be coincidental that you have a new set of eyes and this move comes right behind it.
Yeah, when you think about guys that are coming into the program or just arrived in the program and whose futures are pretty bright, KJ Kirkland comes to mind, Tom. And, you think about a kid who's a backup to Akeem Dent, Shaheem Brown and Travis Jay and KJ Kirkland. And I don't know, I just think big picture, Duke Cooper, who, as you said, I don't think his heart was in the move, really was going to factor in those position battles. And so at some point, yeah, you move it on down the road. If he's unhappy, it's not transitioning well, new coach comes in, doesn't see the fire, doesn't see the focus, doesn't see the production, decides, we could probably move along here. Florida State will see. Are they contenders to bring in somebody in the portal? Now you have a freed up spot. You might still be. We thought they might go out and get somebody in the portal at the position anyhow, partly because Duke Cooper wasn't transitioning at all. It's one of the reasons. You're also not solidified with your other starter there. I get that. Shaheem Brown needed to be more consistent in the spring to allay fears about the position. But I do believe Shaheem Brown is going to continue to get better and have a good year. That's just me personally. I think he kind of played through some things in the spring. But, you may need another guy here now, and we thought they might go that route in the portal anyhow.
Yeah, a couple of things there. Number one, the move seems strange on its face, and we learned about it on the Jeff Cameron show when Adam Fuller appeared and talked about the move in February. Might have been maybe early March. But at any rate, that's the moment we realized it, and it was a kind of moment because Akeem Dent had already announced he's coming back. Shaheem Brown was already tabbed in the same interview by Adam Fuller as a primetime player, one of the better players in the country in the eyes of the defensive coordinator. So you're telling me that this guy's going to come in with like a 79th year senior and a kid that Adam Fuller has circled as an impact player at safety. So he's a long shot to win a starting job. That's how it felt to me. The other thing I'd say, just as it pertains to what's next for Florida State, are you sure you want to put all your eggs in the Shaheem Brown basket? I know what the payoff could be. I know what his athleticism suggests he could be, but the consistency factor, what you're talking about, I don't think it's as locked and loaded as Jamie Robinson returning last year was.
Of course not. No,
So
agreed.
I think in short, and you've already said it, but I think in short, this fortifies the need to go into the portal and find a veteran solution at safety. You have some guys that are coming down the pike in a Kirkland. I thought Quindarius Jones was excellent in camp, but he might profile more as a corner than a safety. We'll see. But you have some younger guys that could be the answer in the next year or two. But I think this now fortifies the need. If you were doing and arguing before about defensive end or linebacker or safety in the portal, I think safety now climbs up another notch, maybe to the top, and saying that's the priority position for the collectives.
Yeah, and I don't know if down the line a Conrad Hussey or somebody like that is going to, he's 6'1", almost 200 pounds already. What he's going to be, I don't know either. But there's a lot of excitement about some of these guys coming down the pike and their ability to maybe do both. Certainly, we all feel that way with Kirkland, who at some point maybe a linebacker, his body type is so broad, and the added weight he can put on. I think you're right. I think we're going to see them go get a safety. I think they'll look at linebacker. Nothing's really changed here as we continue to do this day to day and monitor the portal, the comings and goings of players, what influences Florida State's needs, obviously. But I think we went into this right fresh off of spring saying, well, they need probably a defensive end. They probably need a safety. Probably maybe you want to find a linebacker, certainly. I don't think that's really changed. So it'll be interesting over the next few days to see what they do. Yes, this may have expedited that process, though.
Correct. And just for clarity's sake, for those of you that might be new to the transfer portal discussion, there is a period of time in which you can enter your name, and that is closing. That is closing rapidly. Unless you're going to finish with your degree in a month at a different institution, this is kind of it if you want to be in the portal. But that doesn't mean that Florida State has to make their decisions by the end of this window. They could have all summer to take a look at the potential candidates and then go make a play for them. So the deadline is for the player, not the institution, coming up here in a few days. That's just an important thing to remember, that if you're worrying and panicking on Monday, they didn't get an answer. It's not like that at all. For the university and for the program, they've got time to assess their needs. I just think I'll reiterate one more time that because of this move, it only underscores that safety is that much more important. We already knew it was a position we should target. I think it now becomes the top position you should target.
Yeah, and Florida State might very well be seeking the aid of a grad transfer when this is all said and done. It would not be shocking at all. A one-off that is a win-win situation for both parties, a plug-and-play guy that has proven it at the Power 5 level but wants to finish off somewhere maybe elevated like Florida State to end out their career, or maybe they're just not seeing the kind of time they want to see in the rotation somewhere else. But you've got film on him. You've seen him play big-time college football. In fact, I think that's probably the route they go at a position like safety, is some sort of grad transfer that you could grab before this is all said and done. So a pertinent point you just made there, Tom. It's not the deadline for Florida State's football program. Right. It is for the player, however. All right, don't forget, like and subscribe, warchant.com, Warchant TV. You'll want to be notified anytime that little bell rings and says, hey, man, there's some news going down. Let's watch a video of it. Got you covered always.